Hello, and welcome to Keeping It Real with Shannon Live. Because you don't know how it's going to turn out.
My kids empowered me to get out.
What's going on with this remote learning in the midst of COVID?
Working for different elected officials, learning and understanding how to put the community first.
Hi, and welcome to Keeping It Real with Shannon. Thank you so much for joining us. Hello there, Dr. Vanessa. How you doing?
Hey, Lottie, I'm good.
Well, we have a very special guest joining us tonight that's going to talk to us about how he advocates for prisoners' rights. So we want to bring him on.
Absolutely. Our special guest tonight is Mr. Victor Pate. He's formerly incarcerated and the co-director of the New York Campaign for Alternatives to Isolated Confinement Coalition and a co-founder of the New York City chapter of the National Action Network Second Chance Committee. He has worked numerously out for advocacy for criminal justice inside and outside of New York State since his release in 1995. He continues to advocate for criminal justice, reforms for prisoners and jails, and rights of those incarcerated. Let's welcome our special guest tonight, Mr. Pate, to the show.
Hello there, Mr. Victor Pate. How you doing?
Good evenings and blessings to you, and I am doing fine, and thank you for having me on this platform, and blessings to you all.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. But before we get into exactly what you do, I have to, I can't hold it in anymore. I just wanted to comment on the decision of the Penny trial. I mean, it didn't come as a shock to me because I already knew he was going to get off from starting of the way the jury was set up. And then how long they was taking to deliberate, that was just telling you stuff along the way. But it's just now become almost like devastating. I tell you, my heart just dropped to my feet when I heard the verdict. And I'm saying to myself, what is happening? What is going on here? What is this coming to? And I never had these terrible thoughts before. And, you know, I ask God to forgive me for my terrible thoughts because I know that was the devil talking to me. But I was saying, do we need to start just taking matters into our own hands? I mean, what is going on here? I don't get it.
I can jump in right really quickly. And I would just say to that is that for myself, I'm not surprised. I am disappointed. I think this is, is this really too much? Too many. I think that this is a wake-up call, and I think that things are happening for a reason, and I do definitely should be a response. And like I said, we all have our opinions about what that response. I truly don't advocate violence and make that clear. However, I think that it's something that we really should be taking a look at when you look at how many times, how frequently, and it's continue. It doesn't seem like it's getting any better. So I just think that, you pay attention. I'll say pay attention. For me, I'm not surprised, disappointed, all of that. And believe me, I'm not even angry because you know what? I got energy to put in other areas, and it's going to do me a lot better to put the energy there than to put it somewhere else. So that's my humble contribution.
I hear what you're saying. I echo those sentiments. But my thing is, I understand enough is enough, but this is a continuous thing, right? And we constantly seeing these things. I'm not quite sure or recall the makeup of the jurors of the cases, but it's becoming more relevant that everything's okay. Everything's okay, everything goes. And I'm always saying this is the systems working, how they've been designed to work. And I think a lot of people just need to think about putting their energy on other ways, how to develop and revisit and repurpose the Black and Brown community to be able to be strengthened, when things like this happen. Because I don't like to see that we as a people only come out there when there's a traumatic event. There's a killing, there's a shooting, there's an accident, there's a black and white this and here and there. You can't fight the system like that. But there's other ways you can beat the system and come around something. It may not,
but I don't see it happening in my lifetime because we say this all the time. Why is it that we can't come together and work together and do what's needed for each other? And it's not even when someone gets killed. It's just in an everyday life situation sometimes when something happen and you can't come together to support the other person. You would get on TV, you would dog them, you would disgrace them. Like, you don't see any other races doing that today, people, when something happened to them. So I just don't understand. But look, we don't want to take away from you, Mr. Victor. We're going to do a whole show on this because I'm telling you, this is
needed.
This, like I said, I wasn't surprised because, like I said from the beginning, with the jury setup, everything, so it didn't come as a surprise. But what really hurt me more was when he, at the end, that you didn't even show any remorse. You and the boss celebrating. If your lawyer didn't have sense enough to tell you you should show some remorse, you ought to knew to show some remorse. You killed somebody's child, even though maybe you didn't mean to do it, but at least show some remorse behind the situation.
How do you expect him to show remorse, Lottie? How do you expect him to show remorse when he felt that he did his due diligence as a civilian, that he was doing something? So when you're that confident that you have served justice, if for better lack of words, how do you show remorse of that? How do you show remorse when nobody has come and said publicly, or with cases, you was wrong, even ignoring the cries of the people to say, release him, let him go? You're there, Phil, you're doing a service.
Well, look, I can't even talk about that man anymore. I can't even be talking about him. So let's
energy drain.
Your advocacy and what you did. So
I echo Dr. Vanessa.
Back on another show to finish this. This
I echo Dr. Vanessa.
This is far from over. Yeah, exactly. What she said is true. But like I said, I don't see it in my lifetime. Maybe my granddaughter at 10 lifetime. Maybe we can come together at some point. I just don't see it. It hasn't happened yet. But let's get to you. The stuff that you do is so important. The advocacy work that you are doing, advocating for prisoners' rights. So you want to start by telling us, how you got involved in this?
Sure can. Standing on 145th Street, 2009, 2010, outside of the National Action Network, that I was really didn't intend to even go inside. And I heard this voice talking through the microphone, and it was Reverend Al Sharpton. And I said, let me go inside and see what's going on in here, because I've never been there. And I was, living close by, but I just never went there. I walked in, sat down, heard him speak, and they invited people to come and join the National Action Network, which I did, paid my dues, right? And they said they have an orientation. They had an orientation 2 weeks later, and they kind of sort of like orientate us on all of the committees and everything there. So they asked one question: is there anything here that you heard that you were interested in, or that you didn't hear and that you think that we should bring to the National Action Network? Feel free to say so. And I stood up and I told them who I was, and I informed them that I was formerly incarcerated, and I was kind of surprised. I didn't hear anything that specifically addressed the needs and concerns of the incarcerated as well as the formerly incarcerated. And they looked at me and they said, that's a good idea. Why don't you put the proposal together? And I did. We did, right? My wife, myself, and another formerly incarcerated gentleman. And we presented it to them. And unfortunately, it took almost 2 years for it to run through the gauntlet, so to speak. Right. And eventually they accepted it. They gave us a formal validation and welcomed us to the National Action Network. And Reverend Sharpton established us as the New York City chapter National Action Network Second Chance Committee. And that committee was designed and formatted to specifically address, as I mentioned, the needs of people that are incarcerated, the families of the incarcerated, the formerly incarcerated, and general people who just did not have a clue, to provide a second chance. Now, one good thing happened in that we were officially inaugurated in 2011. So I would say that's our actual validation date up to this date, and we're still in effect. Really quickly, I want to say that, this is something that I guess if I never would have been incarcerated, I never would have been concerned, and I never would have cared until I went inside and I experienced the horror of what I experienced and the things that happened to me and what I seen happen to others. I said, if you let me get out of here alive, I will change my life and I will do something different. Right. Well, it didn't happen immediately. I have to be totally transparent. It wasn't, oh yeah, okay, this is one time, that's it. No, it was a number of times before I finally got it, but it was a very, I guess, a turning moment in my life, and I want to mention this like really quickly. I met a guy, an old man. He must have been 80 plus years old that used to run the track. I was in Attica State Correctional Facility at the time. And he used to run the track from the time we got out in the morning, which was 6:30 in the morning, till the time we went in, which was 8 o'clock at night. And he would go around like it was a track. So it was concrete, but it was track. And he seen me. He said, "Come here, man." He said, "Come and walk with me," because he was a senior citizen, and he got a trot going. "Come on, walk with me, man." And walk with me, man. He said, "Man." He said, "Man." He said, "How old are you, man?" I told him how old I was. He said, "What you doing in here?" I told him what I'm doing in here. And he looked at me and he said, "I'm going to tell you something." He said, "When I came in here, I was young like you. I was young like you." He said, "If you keep doing what you're doing, you're going to be me if you lucky." And he just kept on, and I walked away. I just look out there, okay, I'm free. Oh, yeah, okay, I hear you, man. I'm keeping it moving. I was a young, hot-headed little kid from Harlem. I didn't care about nothing and nobody. All I wanted to do was survive. So I had to be bad or pretend as though I was bad. But I shoot him off. When I got to my cell that night, I'd sit for a moment and I thought. And he said, when he came in, he was young like me. But I knew at that time he had been in 65 years. He was in. I knew about him. He had been in 65 years. That's right. Wow. And he must. Anyway, long story short, like I say, that thought never left me. I never forgot what he said. Right. Shortly thereafter, they said, "Okay, try it again." I got out. I learned some things. I did some things. I met some people. See, I prepared myself. I didn't just sit and wait. I prepared. Right. I went to school. I got some skills. I talked to some mentors. I got some resources, and I hit the ground running. That's my transition to where I am right now, because this is what led me to be where I am and to do what I do because of the conditions that I see happen and what's continuing to happen. But also I see that the families of the loved ones, they also incarcerated by not understanding how the system operates. And oftentimes they don't know how to get in touch with their loved ones. And oftentimes their loved ones disappear and they don't know how to reach them. So I said, I'm going to try to be a bridge and help out the best way I possibly can. So we started the committee to help people out with resources when they're transitioning from prison to jail, as well as families to connect with those of them that are inside. I guess you can say we're one-stop shopping.
But you see how that worked out? See, that goes to show you how good God is. See,
I bear witness.
He put somebody right there to turn you around. Why? Because he wasn't through with you yet.
And I listened.
And I listened. Now you have somebody else.
That's the important part. You listen, because how many other young men that he's told that to and saw them come back through that door again?
No. If they were lucky. Because guess what? Some people get to the graveyard instead of the jail yard.
Mm-hmm. That's true. Right.
Now that scares me. I mean, not scare me in terms of I know I'm going, but the point of me saying that is that I know that there is other things in life, right? And
hold that thought, Victor. Hold that thought, Victor. We're gonna take a quick break and we'll be right back. We'll be right back.
It's Shannon. It's Shannon.
They say there are no excuses. They say to just push harder. They say to just go faster. But when we're on the field, they don't know what's going on inside us. How hard is too hard? When do we get support?
When do we raise our hand and ask for help? We need each other.
Love, you're mine.
Hi, so if you're just joining us, our special guest is Mr. Victor Pate. He advocates for prisoners' rights. So, Victor, before we went to break, you was talking, but I wanted to get to when you were incarcerated, you were saying that while you were incarcerated, they are things like this book that you was talking about with all the resources in it, the connection, and
Yes.
other things in there that you as an individual should know to prepare yourself for coming out. Because sometimes I know people that come out, but when they come out, they don't do anything. They just like laying around thinking that the family is supposed to, get them back on their feet or whatever.
That tells you something about
No
them as a person.
inspiration on their own.
That tells you about them as a person, because I'd say like the prisons do not rehabilitate. You have to rehabilitate. That rehabilitation comes from the mind and the heart. If you don't have it in those two places and spaces, then you're going to do like everybody else do, sit around, be around, and look around. And you're going to come out worse than you were before you went in, because you did nothing to change yourself, your life, your thought, your ways, anything. So that for me is that the opportunity for rehabilitation has to come from the individual's motivation and what they look and how they see themselves in life. Because the bottom line, we ain't here forever. You got to make it count for something. And I would not want to leave here and they not remember that I was here for something good.
Absolutely. I got like twofold question, right? Do you think, for one thing, the services that you provide advocating for this criminal justice, do you think your services and your organizations are some of the things that should be put in the jail systems where people can understand and learn and reach out to you when they come out? That's one question. And do you think that the judicial system provides enough resources inside so they could, like, training and preparation for when they come out to avoid recidivism?
Yes and no. Yes to the point in terms of having resources inside for people to rehabilitate themselves if they so choose, and it needs to be more of that. It has been cut down drastically since the last time I went through there, and I'm talking to people that are just coming home, and these guys did 30, 40, and 50 years. Okay, but they came out and they're pretty strong in terms of, their fortitude and the mentality, and they did something for themselves. You know what I'm saying? They got some degrees and they got some skills, so they did something. So they took an opportunity, even in a bad circumstances, to improve themselves, and that's a self choice, right? And to question number two, there is not enough resources that are put towards our returning people back to our community, because you have to look at the cost of incarcerating a person is $85,000 per year per adult in the state prison, right? And there is I think it's 95 or 90 or $100 billion prison industrial complex. This is money. So they want to keep the prison industrial complex going, and they keep the prison complex going by feeding our people, for the most part, to the plantation. And of course, it's an opportunity to make money. Absolutely. And they take the money out. Yeah.
Absolutely. If people understand, that's where the term $1 million blocks come from.
There you go. You got it right. I remember that.
If people don't understand that and they say, well, what is that? I say, yeah, when they bring people out of your community and you take them upstate and they're counted as residents, they bring millions of dollars to those communities and no money go back to community of origin. So they're like, $1 million. You got a private system, you got private jails. That's why over the years you think about these 3 strikes in a row, 3 strikes out, and all these things, bringing people to the, into that system that feeds that wealth.
That prison. That's right. You got it. That's what it does. It's
so Victor, when you're inside, like you were saying, that they need to be doing things to help themselves and stuff like that. So when they're inside, do they have how you say, do they have any kind of motivational classes? You know how you have the motivation classes where you have them to come, but it really should be a requirement that they come.
And here it is. You know who run the motivational classes? The people that are incarcerated in the facilities, for the most part. And a lot of the programs that have evidence-based, right? Evidence-based, that it actually works, with the programs that we created while we were incarcerated and didn't get a penny for that.
Absolutely.
Okay? So there are motivational programs that are operating in the facility. That's not something that the New York State or the New York City Department of Corrections came up with. It's the people that were incarcerated came up with the program. We call these peer-led programs. People like me, that lead programs to help people come to a level of consciousness about themselves or about their ways and the harms that they have did not only to themselves but to the community and to their families.
So Victor, programs like yours that you do for the
Second Chance, yes, ma'am.
Yeah, a program like yours, right? So do they allow a program like yours to come in to the prison, even if you come, say, once a week or twice a week, or you know what I'm saying? Are you allowed to bring your program inside there?
So let me give you this, because we are not vetted to go into the correctional facilities as a program. I have been in there. A couple of my colleagues on the Second Chance Committee have been there. We've been in there for they had occasionally these state correctional facilities have resource days where most of the people that are 10 are people that are within, I think it's 3 years to their release date. And they come in and they bring a lot of programs from outside. Now, I'm not saying that they don't. They do these type of things, and they do have some. They don't have enough. Not all of the facilities get this here, and gives the people that are getting ready to come home an opportunity to connect with the community resources. And I have been in there, and I have provided the Second Chance Committee information, and that's why so many people oftentimes send mail directly to me at the National Action Network, because they know Victor Pate, Second Chance Committee, they got some help for you. Get in touch with him when you get out, and we have done that successfully. We ran 3 successful reentry programs when I went bankrupt 3 times running the Second Chance Committee, and we were doing life skill training programs for people that were returning back to our community. Unfortunately, we had to cease and desist because, like I say, Second Chance Committee is a non-funded committee, and it's totally funded by the members, myself and 9 other committee members, and we make it run through our pockets. But because we are committed and we are putting our money where our mouth is, so to speak, this is how we operate. But
so are we saying that things that could be done, programs that could be put in, that we do have the resources and the money to put them in the prison, but it's just not being done?
It's just not being done. And as a matter of fact, it's just ironic. Just now, we're getting ready, and I'm saying we are because one of my colleagues, who was my co-director of the Halt Solitary Confinement Coalition, is going to be testifying this Friday. They asked me, but I turned it down. They're going to be testifying before a budget committee, talking about that exact same thing, the lack of beneficial program for the people that are incarcerated. They just asked me that today. And just so ironic, you just happened to mention that. So they're actually having a hearing in Albany before a budget committee with legislators and the muckety mucks who run things. And he's going to be testifying on the need for these type of things. So that was right on time. And this is the kind of work we do.
I had asked some time ago, like, what is the requirement? So what is the regimen when they're incarcerated? Is it that they have mandatory schooling? What is the system?
If you don't have a GED, you are required to go to school. Oftentimes that happens and doesn't happen. They don't all the time push the envelope because they don't care. They want you not to be educated. Yeah, they want you to come back uneducated so they can keep making more money. So yes, you have to go before a classification committee, which is the committee that evaluates your mental level, your intelligence level, and stuff like that to define where you should be placed as far as they call your work your program. So you can have a work program, what shop you're going to go. You can work, in different places in the facility. And some places that you work is really nothing that's going to create an opportunity for you to learn a real skill, or that's something marketable that you can use when you get out.
But so what I'm hearing is that we come in there. I come in there. I'm incarcerated. I come in there. So the ideal is
classification.
The ideal is to keep me in there, to use me to make money for the system.
You make money. Oh yeah, you work a good penny.
Right, but I think for the juveniles, they have it's mandated to offer
schooling.
Them,
yeah.
For the juvenile.
They have to be.
They have
them.
to be.
Mandatory.
Absolutely.
No,
That's a requirement.
I know the younger people because I remember when I was at the Board of Ed, I know some of the workers would go to Rikers Island to teach classes, you know, to the
And they still
juveniles.
have classes on Rikers Island.
Yeah,
They
at
don't have
Rikers
as many
Island and stuff like
programs.
that.
They kicked a lot of programs off of Rikers Island. I don't know how far you was following that. They kicked a lot of programs off of Rikers Island. So where they might have had maybe 75 programs, they got maybe 30 now.
Now, what was the purpose of that now?
Money.
Suppose well, that was also during COVID 2019, 2020, right? And then coming out of COVID, right? They started, cutting back on funding, which was, a very big part of having those programs there, Department of Corrections and stuff like that there. And so they just started, cutting down a lot of programs. So I'm not even sure if they got 30 programs on Rikers Island, even though I go to Rikers Island every month to do the voter registration every month. And we're getting ready to start voter education classes and stuff. So that's something that we are bringing. Second Chance is a part of that, as well as people from the Legal Aid Organization and a few other organizations that go into Rikers Island with us to do the voter registration.
I don't know. It just seems like, I don't know, what am I hearing here? It just seems like, is this okay, so in other words, you just moved the ones that's in jail upstate someplace else and then let the new people come in that's been incarcerated. So in other words, it's just a winding door that we just keep going and so that way they keep us in there to keep making money because they're not learning anything to get out, so they know they'll be back. Look, I got more questions to ask you. Can you stick around a little bit? I have some more questions to ask you, Victor. Can you stick around a little bit? Look,
I charge by the minute.
Okay, then
now you decide how long you want me to stay.
It'll be a minute. So thank you so much for
That's
joining
lawyer
us.
talk. That's lawyer
Thank
talk.
you so much for joining us today. We have to end this part of the show, but if you want to continue to see the show, you can continue seeing us on Facebook. But remember, you can watch us every Saturday on Brick at 5:30 p.m. and Neighborhood Network at 2:30 p.m. And you can always catch us here every Tuesday at 8 p.m. live on Facebook and YouTube. So we want to thank you for joining us today. We want to thank Mr. Pate for joining us. And as always, we'll see you next time.
Today's show is sponsored by Abu's Bakery. If you have a sweet tooth, stop by Abu's Bakery for some delicious cakes and pies.
Would you like beautiful pictures for your home or your office? Then stop by Faith Art Gallery. They have a large selection of pictures from around the world.
It's Shannon. It's Shannon. It's Shannon. It's Shannon. It's Shannon. Keeping it real.
Hi, thanks for hanging out with us for our after show. And we still have a few more questions for Mr. Victor Pate. And Victor, before we ended the first show, we was talking. My question is that what it seems like when you get incarcerated, like you said, you the one has to be motivated enough to get yourself out.
Correct.
So even if you have to serve your whole term or whatever, but it seems like, I mean, I've known some people that has gone in, they became, I guess, what you call role model prisoners, where they would help other prisoners in there, do things, because one of my friend's daughter got put in there. But what she did, she was good in computers. So they had her doing the computer classes. She was doing computer classes with the prisoners in there, right? So she became like a teacher while she was in there, right? So she got released a little earlier. She got some time to go off her sentence and stuff like that. So
earned time.
So you can go,
time.
Huh?
It's called earned time.
Earned time. So you can
for good
go
behavior.
Yeah, so you had some skills before you went in, so you could go in and use those skills to
That's
help
right.
better some of the inmates that's in there.
That's right.
What you're saying.
Yeah. Program. You can design programs, and they will pay for them. They won't pay you, but they'll pay for the programs.
Mm-hmm.
And take the credit for it.
Of course, like they always do. But like I say, the best people to run the program are the people that inside the
Absolutely.
So you were saying that it's the people that's the inmates that's in there is the one that's putting the programs together.
I think
then the city would pay for them.
Right. I think we lost him. But in all this, talking about this correction stuff, it's interesting how you see now things that they fighting for, looking to close Rikers Island, and then what happened with it? What do they do with these individuals, right? What do they do with the individuals? What does that look like in society? We know there's some issue. We know there's some feedback, some backlash for other communities where they wanted to put other smaller jails in communities and kind of relocate and distribute these people and throughout the community. So it's like, what happens now when we're at this stage of the game, when they're still moving towards closing Rikers Island?
Well, are they even going to be able to close Rikers Island? That's the thing.
No, that's not true, because that's a game plan, and it's why they keep procrastinating. But I believe me, I was on City Hall steps yesterday. They was on City Hall steps today. That we are pushing pressure on the mayor to make sure that they meet their targeted date of 2000 when they're supposed to close it. And we ain't playing no games. I don't know what kind of game mayor is playing. He's a one-term mayor anyway. I just want to say that right here, right now. But we ain't having it. They're gonna meet the deadline date. They can make it appear though.
So wait a minute. Wait, hold up. So are you saying they closing Rikers Island?
They are.
They're gonna close it.
They are definitely gonna close it.
But see, that's why they was getting some backlash from other communities and boroughs, especially Staten Island, where they was trying to put smaller facilities in the Staten Island.
They don't have one. Yeah, they don't. They the only borough that don't have one.
With smaller facilities, I thought they wanted to build those high rises over there.
No, but what are you gonna do with the individuals, Lottie? If they close Rikers Island, where you gonna put the individuals?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I thought they was gonna disperse them.
No, but you have to disperse them in boroughs and borough base, and that's why there was backlash from Staten Island is saying that you are not putting any prisoners and bringing any,
That's what they said.
Criminals, what cases in a prison in Staten Island. That's the backlash. So the thing was like, okay, so what do you do with them?
Yeah.
What do you do with them?
Okay, then. So Victor just said they definitely gonna close it. So what are they gonna do with them?
Oh, we ain't playing. And then what the plan is, and they've been talking about this for the last week. And what's the plan? See, they are very much in danger now. I don't know how much y'all been following the situation. Well, they're in the possible takeover by the federal government because of the lack of effectively running it. Of course, they have not met what the federal monitor has put forth for them in terms of treatment and changing and plans on how people are. So right now they are in jeopardy. They have until January the 14th to have submitted a plan to the federal judge, Laura Swain, and the plan has to be about the takeover of called receivership under new management. So they're gonna make that closure date, believe me.
So when is the
closure date? Somebody gonna date.
When is the closure date?
The 14th.
No, that's not the 14th.
Oh, you mean to make the decision? You're talking about the close date of the island, of the Rikers Island.
Or is that contingent upon
2027, August the 31st?
August 31st,
August the 31st, 2027.
August 31st.
Deadline. They got to be closed by then. The last prisoner better be off of Rikers Island on that date.
Because they closed down and they really restoring Brooklyn House. So where do they go?
That's gonna be one. Yeah. So
that's gonna be one.
Every borough has a borough-based jail except for Staten Island. They're currently constructing right now.
Right. Because Staten Island stood their ground. They say they will not have a jail on Staten Island. And
so then why doesn't the other boroughs say the same thing?
Because they're already in the other boroughs. Brooklyn you have the Brooklyn
House. They already had them.
Right. You got Bronx, you got Sparfit, you got they're here. You got Park Row in the city. You have Brooklyn House downtown. You have Queens House. They're here. They're here already.
Now they're going to redesign the housing and the facilities that have to, as well as talking about, and this is really big also that we're working on, mental health services for people that are incarcerated that they normally do not get. I don't know if y'all heard the most recent horrific story about the lady, licensed clinical social worker. Her name was Justina, worked on Rikers Island in one of the mental health units, and described how they were being treated, being left in their cells for months on end without medication, right? And hearing them screaming and hollering and not seeing about them, taking care of them and stuff like that there. And she left her job. She's a personal friend of mine, by the way. Her and I talk mostly every other day. We've been on a few shows together on different platforms and stuff. But like I say, things like that, mental health, that's really big now. So making sure that they have those type of services, and because a lot of times, you don't realize the damage that's happening to people. Absolutely. If they're sometimes come in undamaged and go out damaged, but they don't have treatment while you're there. I was in solitary confinement, and believe me, I'm still not well as a result of my experience. But guess what? By God's grace, I kept moving forward. But some people are not that lucky. Some people go in and they just not the same. Like a couple of my colleagues right now, these guys did like decades. I wouldn't even want to begin to even imagine doing the amount of time that they did. And they came home, and you would be surprised as how sharp and lucid and articulate these people are. Because everybody can't be destroyed and everybody cannot be diminished. Some people do, but these people that I work around, they're some strong brothers. This will keep me doing the work that I'm doing because I see the evidence of my work. And then people come out and say, "Yay, man, listen, I'm glad to meet you, man. We heard about you behind the wall. I was in such and such, such and such. Thank you for doing the work that you're doing." That means a lot to me.
Absolutely.
So, Victor, we don't have a minute or two left. What would you? Okay. Say me and Dr. Vanessa got incarcerated because she's always doing stuff she ain't got no business doing and stuff like that.
Don't take the doctor from our community. Don't take her out. We need the doctors. We need our doctors. We don't want our doctors going away.
Yeah, we all make mistakes. When nobody's perfect, so we don't know when something may happen to us or whatever. So going into the system like that, what do you say that we should be preparing ourselves for, or what should we, try to do once we get in there?
I'm gonna tell you this really. Yeah, let me tell you this really quickly because I know a lot of females and a lot of my colleagues are females that are formerly incarcerated. You all have it much worse than men. I'm gonna tell you that right now. I never knew it until I got a chance to talk with my sisters that I'm now doing this work with that were incarcerated in state and federal prisons. Right. So first and foremost is the dehumanization. They're going to take you through, right? You're going to have to be mentally, you got to prepare for that. But I don't know if there's any preparing to be prepared for dehumanizing, but just basically knowing that, as they say, you have no more rights, even though you do, but you don't have rights that they respect. Let me say it like that. So you got to prepare. It's kind of so like you got to, as they say, you got to strength up. You got to get your weight up, right? Number two, right? Don't try to get to know a whole bunch of people because you're only going to find yourself in a situation because you don't know who's around you unless you know who's around you. Don't be so quick to make friends. Mind your business. Mind your business. That's important. Minding your business is important, right? And then you make sure you maintain some contact with somebody outside. Make sure that you arrange a schedule of calls or letters and stuff. And when you let them know, if you don't hear from me, get to making some phone calls because I've seen circumstances how people, and I know what really, and I was a bad dude when I was out there, and I have to be transparent. I was not a scourge on my community. I come from Harlem. Born and raised. I was not a scourge on my community. I was a scourge on them other people's communities. I went downtown. I didn't go uptown. I went downtown. So yes, I was a scourge on their community because that's where the money was. Secondly, right, these instances are oftentimes where you have people, like you say, have been incarcerated, right, and they seem like when you don't have connections to the outside is when you get more trouble than the Lord, because they know you don't get letters, you don't get visits, you don't get packages. And some guys up there, man, I don't need nobody outside. I don't want to write. I was scared to death when I was Attica. I told my people, I said, listen, if you don't hear from me at least twice a month, make sure you call, check up. And if they tell you I committed suicide, they killed me.
Right.
Simple as that. I made sure I was. And so sometimes our people don't have people on the outside. That's the worst thing, to be in a situation where you're totally isolated and you have no access to outside those walls. That leads to deterioration mentally, physically, and spiritually. And I've seen it happen. And people, they get to talking to themselves and walking around. And next thing you know, they take you down to the medication and they Thorazine you up, and you don't even know you're there no more. That's scary.
Well, Victor, I thank God for you.
I thank God for allowing me to be.
You,
absolutely,
brought you out to do the work that you are doing, and that you are able to help somebody else. Because that's what we're supposed to do, regardless of what position we are in. Whether we're on the outside, inside, whatever we're supposed to.
That's my mission.
Learn how to help each other, and if we could do more of that, I think we'd be a closer community with each other.
I believe you. I believe you in that
stuff. So
maybe it's going to happen.
Huh?
Maybe it's going to happen, because, like I say,
maybe one day, maybe one day. But
maybe not on our time, on our watch.
But that's what I said.
But it's going to happen.
It ain't gonna be on our
But listen, but what we're doing here right now, we're building a platform. Yeah. So hopefully they will follow this platform or some other similar platform.
Yeah.
Because what we're doing.
And I hope you'll come back again and talk to us some more about what's going on and stuff like that.
I'll factor you in. I'm always willing to share with the community, you know.
And not only that, I would like for you to come out also and talk to my Lions Association at one of our meetings.
You did. Well, let's have a conversation.
To come out and talk to them, because this information that you gave us, we need to know that from the outside, so we know how to help our relatives or somebody if something happens.
That's important. That's those connections. Thank you so much for having me, and I wish you luck in the continuation of your show. And it was my pleasure to meet everybody.
Yes,
I hope to see you again.
Yes. We want to thank everybody for joining us tonight, for staying for the after show and continue to watching us. And I said this before, you can always see us on Saturdays at 5:30 on Brick and Manhattan Neighborhood Network at 2:30 on Saturdays. So thank you again for joining us. And as always, we'll see you next time.
All right. Be well. Thank you much.